Hello, I'm Driven D&D and welcome to my YouTube channel, Disabled DM. Today's video is the DM's Crutch Episode 3. And we will be covering how to tell a good story and some of the aspects of a plot that should be in any session, whether it's a one-shot or a campaign. So what makes a good story or a good session? Obviously, you have your player characters, and they need to do something. And so some kind of mission or quest, and there is several ways to do that. One of the ways I found recently, thanks to Absolute Tabletop and the Copper Jackal supplement, is the incursion tables, which I have been using quite successfully for all my session prepping, in that it gives you a location, an environment, threats, as action starters, what kind of you lead into the situation, and then they give you tension builders as well, stuff that occurs while the rest is going on. I love this incursion table. It works quite well even for my non-Copper Jackal one-shots and campaign sessions. And really all I have to do to prep a session is figure out what kind of enemies or foes they'll be facing, and add a monster stat block to my prep notes. I can literally have a good session ready to go within 5 minutes, simply by rolling on this incursion table, looking up a stat block, and adding it to my notes. So this is really convenient for those that have a short time, or they have trouble figuring out how to build a session or a good story. Because it's all pretty much done for you. But if you're like me, a lot of times you want to do your own thing and not use something that's pre-generated, like a module or a table out of a supplement. So, let's talk about our plot or a story. What are some of the qualities of a good story? Well, first, they have to make sense. They have to have a consistency about them. You can't throw just random things together. If for example, you're using an environment of a desert, there's no way you're gonna have a natural disaster of a blizzard unless some arcane magic mishap was going on. However, you could have a sandstorm that works just like a blizzard. So having that level of consistency is important. And of course, there should be obviously a beginning, a middle, and an end. And what I do is the beginning is usually, for me, is usually where I introduce the characters to the idea of what they're gonna do in the session. And I describe the scene that they're in. The middle is usually in a session about the time that introduced to some of the problems that are going on in this situation, and whether it's a lack of air, whether they have to scale a mountain to get to a cave, and I run them through some hardships, including terrain and difficulty, maybe a very small combat, depending on how much time I have left. And then towards the end, I have the big encounter. This is your big bad guy, your big RPE moment, with the characters resolve whatever mission they were given. So, what are some other qualities now that we've covered kind of the format of how to set up a session? Well, one of the best qualities, in my opinion, and of a good storyteller is be descriptive. Make them see an image of what you're trying to portray. Tell them about the crunch of the leaves, eaves, and the snapping of the twigs as they're walking through a forest. Tell them that the dense fog rises up in misty tendrils, obscuring their view. Go that little extra step with being descriptive and make it consistent. It is much more interesting for players as when they hear something along the lines, you're entering a dark and forbidden swamp, almost devoid of light. There's an eerie silence hanging in the air as the smell of rotting and decay and death fills your nostrils. Rather than, and okay guys, you're entering a swamp. By being descriptive, you make it more immersive for the player. And by making it more immersive, it adds that layer of realism, as if that person is actually there. And this is important because the more immersive and well thought out your story and plot is, the more fun the players are gonna have. Because, let's face it or not, a lot of players invest a whole lot of time in the characters if it's one they're using on a campaign or reusing writing and rewriting the backstories, switching levels, rules to fit whatever one shot they're doing, etc. And some of these characters are loved by the players. As myself, I have several that I love to use. And no matter what happens, I'll always have a version of them that I can go back to. But their stories have built up over decades. So, this is kind of the idea. Give the players a lot of bang for the buck. And they'll reward you with being attentive in your sessions and compliments. They'll be consistent. All this stuff we talked about in earlier videos about good players. The more you put into it as a DM, the more you'll get out of it from your players. So I hope this video helps, and I'm sure we'll cover this topic again in depth. So until next time, may the dice always roll in your favor.